Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Wisdom Wednesday for this week. So remember, with our Wisdom Wednesday, this is just a generalized spiritual discussion, and the topic is just picked based on the energies that we are currently working with. So this week, we're going to be talking about higher communication because a lot of this week is really based on communicating our truth, communicating with the divine, allowing the divine to communicate through us. So a lot of communication. And I understand that Mercury is going into retrograde, and Mercury is the planet of communication, but this is where we get this beautiful opportunity to reestablish, revive, re-energize all of these communication things. And that's why I believe communication is so big this week, because we're getting this really big invitation to do so. So when it comes to higher communication, or when it comes to communicating, what we want to start to do in our process is, first, we always have to put it through those gates. And the three gates. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? If it's not one of those, then do we really need to say it? Basic things that we know about communication. But see, here's the big thing that we oftentimes forget. We forget that it's not just about us. And what I mean by that is, we are so apt to really just kind of focus on one thing, right? And we're like, oh, this is what I have to say. This is what I need to say. This is what I want to say. And we don't really communicate. What we do is we simply state what we want to do, or we state what we want to state. Communication is an open dialogue between two people. And, when it comes to higher communication, or even learning to respond instead of react, what beautiful terms we can use. So how do we begin this to open a dialogue? How do we begin to learn how to respond instead of to react? And how do we really learn how to be an active participant in the divine communication? Okay, so those are some of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. And remember, if you have questions, comments, or concerns that are based on the topic, feel free to put them in the comments. And if not, and if it's about something else, then you're more than welcome to message me here later. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start jumping into our topic. And the first thing I want to talk about is our communication with the divine. Okay, so how is it that we start that open line of communication? Well, the key is that the line of communication is already open. The divine has not cut it off. The divine hasn't said, well, I'm sorry. Boop. Now you have to reconnect it. No, that's not what the divine does. The divine is always with us and always will be with us and always is communicating with us. And the beautiful thing is, we have all had these beautiful instances of when Spirit has used us as a channel, as a medium, whatever you want to say, to give someone a message, which I will tell you just from personal experience, if I ever give a message to someone, it's usually a message I need to hear as well. It's either a reminder for me, or it is a direct message for me as well. And each and every person in your life, you have experienced that, where you have said something and you're like, where the hell did that come from? Like, who was just saying that? That is when the divine has stepped in. And how did the divine step in? How did that communication happen? How did it just use you? Because you became empty. See, we're so busy trying to think of the right thing to say, or the tone that we want to put it in, or this or that. If we can really step in to this I do not know, or the I don't know mind, or also known as in Zen Buddhism, the beginner's mind, that's when the divine can use us. That's when the divine can really speak to us in such a beautiful or can really speak to us and through us in such a beautiful way. And, for me, if it's not practical, then it's not spiritual. So if it's not something that you can practically do, then to me, it's just not something spiritual, because spirituality is here to help us. And so I want to give you a personal parable about this. And the reason I share personal parables isn't to be like, oh my God, look how special Ron is. I share the parables with you to illustrate that it is completely possible and can happen at any point in time. There is no like, it has to be at the full moon. It has to be when Mercury is direct the sun. It can happen any time, and it can happen more and more the more and more we're willing to stop and really let go of what we think and think we know. So the parable I want to share with you is that I was on the phone with a friend of mine. I had gotten just some guidance to call her. And so I called her and I was like, hey, what's up? And, we hadn't talked in a little bit, I would say a month or so. And so we were just talking, and then, we're just kind of like, oh, this is good and that's good. And she's like, oh, yeah, all these wonderful things. Well, then she broke down and she started crying, and she's like, Ron, this thing, basically her husband had started, to do some heavy duty drugs and was addicted to them. And she was just so upset and so forth and so on. And hey, Robin, thanks for joining. Hey, Genevieve, thanks for joining. Hey, Sue, thanks for joining. And thank you all for sharing and liking. I appreciate it, and commenting, of course. And so for that instance, I'm not a drug counselor. I have had no training in it. I didn't know what to say or what to do, how to help. But what I did know how to do, and once again, it's because I stumbled on it. It's not because I'm so enlightened that I knew it. I had no idea what to say. I was like, in my head, I thought, I have no idea what to do. I have no idea what to say. And then that's when I was just like, Spirit, like, what should I say? Like, what should I do? I don't know. And this flurry of words comes out of my mouth, and my friend on the other line, she's like, oh my God, wow, that was really powerful. And I just was kind of like, what did I say? That was so powerful. Like, I really had no idea. And then from there, she got her husband on the phone, and she was like, you need to talk to him. And I was like, okay, once again, not trained in anything, and just kind of like, Spirit, come do it again. And so I just was like, okay, Spirit, I don't know what to say to this person. I don't know what this person needs to hear. And, I can't tell you how long the conversation was. I can't tell you what I said in the conversation. But what I can tell you is at the end of the conversation, when I guess my consciousness returned back, where I was more of a participant in it, all I heard is, you know what? I do need to go to rehab. And thanks for helping me see that. And I was like, you're welcome. Like, in that moment, I was just like, oh, you're welcome. Of course. Like, no problem. I have no idea what I said. I have no idea what I did. Like, I couldn't tell you, hey, Trudy, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. So I can't tell you any of that because I have no idea. The divine simply used me as that vessel. And like I said, this happens to everyone all the time. Like I said, there may be times that you just say something to someone and it's the exact right thing. And it's not that you were trying to do it. It's not that you're trying to channel. It's not that you're trying to do anything. You're just simply empty and allowing yourself to be used. That's it. So that's one thing. So, how can we begin to be in that beginner mind? Be that empty rice bowl, if you will, for the divine to fill. And the way we do that is through meditation. And remember, meditation is not sitting in the lotus position, chanting Om. Meditation could be folding laundry. Meditation can be cooking dinner. Meditation can be cleaning the dishes. It can be vacuuming. It could be running. It could be walking. It could be, it could be anything that simply gets you to stop thinking and to be in the present moment. That's all meditation is really used for. It doesn't have to be something, outlandish. Remember, if it's not practical, it's not spiritual. Meditation is practical because it's something that can be done. It's something that we all have the capacity to do and can do quickly. We can bring ourselves into the moment. Okay, what do I need to do to bring myself into the moment? Let me focus on my breathing. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Let it out. 1, 2, 3. You are bringing yourself into that moment. You are stopping yourself from focusing on what is, hurting you or what is causing you anxiety or stress, and you're focusing back on the present moment where there is nothing wrong, where there is nothing the matter, where all things are exactly as they are. Okay? Because you're not judging it. You're simply stepping into it. So once again, spirit using me right there. I've never thought of meditation that way. That's, new perception for me right there. That was just comes out. And it's not because I'm trying, it's just because I allow it. And my mind is empty enough where I'm just like, Spirit, come on through. Like, you want to speak for me and through me? Great, do so. You want to bring forth clarity? Great. Because there's a part of me that acknowledges that I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to bring clarity. I don't know how to bring anything. All I know is that all I have to do is show up. So that's with that higher communication. That's with allowing the divine to use you as that instrument. Is just be empty and stop trying so hard. Once again, I will tell you another personal parable. When I was trying to get in contact with my guides and angels, I thought that was like the end all be all. Oh my God, I have to get in contact with them. And I have to know their names and I have to know what they look like and all of these things. There was a lot of have tos, right? Or shoulds. And I tried for, I swear to you, 2-3 months, like meditating every day, trying to make it happen. And it wasn't until I was just like, one day I was just tired. I didn't want to focus on like getting in contact with my guides. I was like, whatever, I don't care. And all of a sudden, I just see these golden eyes and I'm like, oh, and I'm your wolf guide. And I was like, oh my God. And I got so excited that, I threw myself out of it because I started to, try to contemplate and judge it and be like, oh my God, is this real? Is it not? What's happening? And then what do you know? 2 nights later, I get this beautiful, it was 2 days later, my guardian angel comes to me, says his name is Benjamin. And then I'm like, well, I need a sign to let me know that that's really who you are. And that was true. I go to, when Marsh was open, because it's no longer open, but when there was a marsh by us, went there with my mom and my grandma, because my grandma was visiting at the time, went to the marsh, went to the restroom, and on the floor, as I walked in, what is on the floor? A business card that says Benjamin. I was like, you can't make this shit up. Like, I literally just heard this name, and now here is the name on a business card. Wow. I was just amazed by it. And I was like, wow. And look, I didn't try to do it. I didn't try to make it happen. I allowed it to. And that is divine communication. It is effortless. It's not about you trying to connect to the divine. It's about you allowing yourself to let the divine speak to you by stopping yourself from believing that you know the answer or that you know what it is that needs to be told to you. A lot of the times when we're seeking for guidance, we're not seeking guidance. We're really not. Do you know what we're seeking? We're seeking to get an answer to our question. But even though we're seeking for the answer, we already think we know what the answer is. So how can the divine give you an answer if you already think you know the answer? And you're just kind of reaching up and being like, yeah, confirm that for me. Confirm it. Do it. Exactly. It was that validation. Exactly. And it was beautiful and wonderful and I loved it. But once again, that is the biggest thing. We have to stop trying to make it happen. We have to stop trying to have an agenda and allow ourselves to be the open stations for the divine that lives within us, because that's where the divine is. The divine isn't up here in the sky somewhere. The divine is already within you, and it is waiting for you to allow it to express itself through you in whatever way. So let's go ahead and let's kind of move on now to, how can we bring this into practicality? How can we bring this into our communications with others? Yeah, great. You can have a conversation with a friend, sure. But, what if you are in a conversation and you start to feel yourself get really angry, get really frustrated, and you're just like, I'm not getting through to this person. How am I going to do this? Number one, acknowledge one thing, that you're trying to make a point, okay? That you're trying to force something. We don't want to force anything. We can offer. That's all we can do. So when I start to find myself in those situations, the first thing I like to do is I like to take that deep breath. Now, this is something that a lot of people may kind of steer away from, but I will oftentimes be like, can I have a quick minute? Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, if you're taking a quick minute, then, that's it. You've lost. What have I lost? I've lost the anger. Sure. Lost the frustration. Great. Lost the train of thought that was leading me where I didn't want to go. Yeah, those sound like great things that I lost, because they're not leading me where I want to go. So I take that deep breath. I maybe take a step away and be like, hey, can I have a minute? And then I'm like, okay, Spirit, I just invite you into this conversation. I invite you to judge this for me. I invite you to guide me and use me. I give you my words. I give you my words. And, I just want you to speak for me and through me. That's all I want. And then if you're just like, what, I can't do that, that's okay. Another thing that you can do, and still engaged in the conversation, Spirit, what would you say here? Or what would love have me say here? And sometimes it's nothing. And once again, we think, oh, well, I have to say something. Why? What are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? There's nothing that you need to prove. You are simply having a conversation. Remember, an open dialogue. A dialogue isn't trying to prove anything. A dialogue isn't about trying to make a point. A dialogue is simply communication of frequencies. We're communicating frequencies. That's all we're doing to one another. That's it. So just, maybe, like I said, maybe someone starts getting angry with you. Maybe they start raising your voice at you, and maybe that's a trigger for you. I know for a long time that was a trigger for me. Someone started raising their voice at me, and I was like, ooh, okay, it's time to shut down, go into your shell. But then, I had to be like, no, let me remain open. Because here's something that I learned. The moment you close yourself off to the other person is the moment you've closed yourself off to the divine as well. Because you've gone inside yourself and you're like, I'm not safe. We have to remember who walks with us at all times. Our guides, our angels, they're always there, always offering us that help. And sometimes, the guidance or sometimes the communication will be just to walk away. And that's okay. It's not about judgment. It's about discernment. And discernment simply states that which is. Judgment says it's good, it's bad. Discernment just says it is what it is. This is a conversation. This is a dialogue. Okay, this dialogue is no longer constructive for myself or for anyone else. I need to walk away from it. And that's okay, but we don't tell ourselves it's okay. We're so busy trying to, make a point, or we're so busy trying not to lose that, we don't give ourselves that permission, or we think it's weakness, or we think it's bad, or we're told that it's not good. Remember, what would love have me do here? What would love have me say here? Like I said, sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes love is very blunt. And I have had that experience where love basically is just like, yeah, no. No is the complete sentence. N-O, period. And sometimes love has told me to say that to someone. Actually, I'll tell you another personal parable. I was doing a mentorship, and it was one of my very first mentorships I had ever done. And the person I was mentoring, I felt like we were done. Like that was it. There was nothing else I could really do for that person unless they were willing to do that work. And they just, at that point in their journey, they weren't ready to do that. And so, this person had it really instilled that, I was their last hope and this and that. And I said, you know what? I said, unfortunately, I'm not the mentor for you. I'm not. I said, there are lots of other people, lots of other mentors out there, but I'm just not the one for you. And believe you me, the pride, I had to let go of all that pride. I had to let go of trying to be the fixer. I had to let go of trying to be the winner of the conversation and just be like, this isn't working. And that's okay. Remember, sometimes love is blunt, but it's always for yours and the other person's best good. That's where we really want to go with it. So we have to have that willingness. So when we get into these conversations, now let's say, and I know that we've all done this before, we plan a conversation, like what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? Well, and then, someone throws us a curveball or these are the 1 to 2 scenarios that I've seen happen. Number one, if you plan a conversation, either it goes completely the opposite direction and everything you wanted to say doesn't even get said. Or number two, it goes exactly as you planned and it sucks, right? So instead of planning out a conversation, instead of being like, okay, this is what I need to say, these are my bullet points, Spirit, I don't know what to say. I don't know what needs to be said here. But I want love to be that providing force. I want love to guide my words. And then, of course, we can go to the 3 gates. Is it kind? Is it loving? Is it true? And we can even add a bonus gate. Does it need to be said? Is this guidance from, the divine? If it is, great, wonderful. If it's not, let it go. Let it go. So, that is really how we can begin to respond, because that's the other thing. When we are in a conversation with others, oftentimes what happens is we are not actively listening. What we are doing is we are selectively listening. And we're listening for the right word that we can react to. See, I told you, you're always like this. That's what we're waiting for. But if we become an active listener, then we get to hear the whole context of the conversation. Then we get to hear what's really being said, because a good majority of the time that when we are having a conversation and someone starts to get angry, frustrated, flustered, whatever the case is, it's really a call for love. Now, with that, it is not always your job to answer that call. That's where we go to Spirit. Spirit, how can I answer this? How would you have me answer this? And I know I keep going back to that point, but that's because it has to be repeated again and again and again. Because actually, you know what? Let me grab this real quick. Today I was reading A Course in Miracles, which is just a wonderful tome that I love to go to. And there is this beautiful passage. It says... Let me find it. Okay. Everything you have taught yourself has made your power more and more obscure to you. You know not what it is nor where. You have made a semblance of power and show of strength so pitiful that it must fail. For power is not seeming strength, and truth is beyond semblance of any kind. Yet all that stands between you and the power of the divine in you is but your learning of the false and of your attempts to undo the true. Be willing then for all of it to be undone for you and through you. Once again, notice, for you and through you. We still believe that there are things that, we have to handle. Well, Spirit can handle that over there, but it can't handle this. I have to handle this. Why? Spirit is all encompassing. Spirit is all things. Why do you have to stop it at a particular point? Why are you trying to limit the limitless? Why are you trying to stop unlimited power from helping you? Why are you trying to block the miracle? Because you still believe that it's up to you to solve the problem. And you believe that you have to solve the problem from here down. You forget the problem is already solved from here up. Here up, problem's already solved. Solution's already given to you. But we're so busy trying to figure it all out and do it all ourselves that we're not listening anymore. And that's really a part of communication, is listening. Be willing to listen. That's really all it takes, is a willingness to listen, a willingness to set aside your agenda, a willingness to set aside your judgments, and a willingness to simply be present in the moment and allow yourself to really listen. You know, there are tons of tools and techniques that can be used for this. There's tons of them. You know, if you don't like the wording that I use, that's okay. You can use your own wording. But higher communication, or learning to respond instead of to react, is really learning to listen. That's what open communication is. It's what, remember, a dialogue is. Open communication between two people, each person listening to the other, not listening for, things to react to, but listening with love. And one tool that I really love to use is, in the morning, before I do anything, Spirit, today I'd like to listen with my heart. That's it. Today I'd like to listen with my heart. And that may sound like a frivolous thing, but remember, the heart is our symbol of love. Love is our symbol of truth. Truth does not have biases. Truth does not have judgment. Truth is discerning. This is for me, this is not. Done. Not this is good and this is bad, and this is good, therefore it's for me. This is bad, therefore it's not. Truth is discerning. So let it be what it is. Let it be what it is. So, Spirit, I'd like to listen with my heart today. And then as you go into conversations, as you go into your day, remind yourself, I'm going to be listening with my heart. I'm going to be listening with love. I'm going to be listening with truth today. That's what I'm going to be listening to. I'm not going to be listening to my ego, even though it's going to talk, it's going to chatter, but I don't have to listen to it. That's my choice, right? So another thing that you can do, if you like words to go with stuff, you can say, I do not know. If you're in a conversation, you start, finding yourself getting agitated or not knowing what to say or not knowing how to necessarily respond to it, you can just say, I do not know what anything is for, including this. And so I don't know how to respond to it. And I will not use my own past learning as a light to guide me now. So right there, what are we being told? What are we being told? We're being told, I'm not going to let the light of the past that tells me, this is my trigger and this is how it happened last time. I don't know what anything is for, but I am willing to be informed. Okay? So that is our Wisdom Wednesday for today. I thank you for joining me. I thank you for being here. If you are interested in learning more about me or my services, or learning about my course, my online course that I have, which is just a 4-module course. It's already pre-recorded. It's on YouTube. You can go to my website, go to the virtual learning, and you can actually look up exactly what I'm going to be talking about in each one of the modules. And that's at awakeningmiracles.org. And you can just go to the virtual learning tab. And then if you're, you can look through those, but you can also find down at the bottom my video library, where I have tons of different lives and other things that I've done that are informative. So you can go check out my website and check out all of that. I thank you for joining me. I thank you for being here, and I'll see you all later. Bye for now.